Hi Aquarius, I hope that you're all doing well. We are here with a timeless reading. The first card that we have out is the Star. This is associated with Aquarius. Okay, we have the Star, we have the Ten of Wands. We have Queen of Wands. The Star is feeling like connecting with hope, connecting with faith during a trying time. This can be like your ability to continue what it is that you're doing with a connection to the bigger picture, with a connection to deeper faith, to what you're doing, where you're being guided during a time when it can feel hard to do so. That Ten of Wands is going to speak about like some type of stress that you can be experiencing, some type of overwhelm that you can be experiencing, some type of exhaustion that you can be experiencing, some type of possibly extreme situation that you found yourself in. And the Star feels like not giving up hope during this time and connecting in whatever way it is that you connect to this, like to this vision, to remain sort of steadfast here. We then have the Queen of Wands, which I feel is sort of partly connected with your energy at this time, and it can be like your self-belief and your self-trust and your self-confidence right now during a time where it can be actually difficult to connect with that given the circumstance that you're in. And having that Eight of Swords can be a time where you feel mentally like this can be starting to get to like your mind can feel like it's beginning to falter or beginning to stall out even, or there can just be a starting to question things in a way that may not feel particularly productive to you. You can feel even like you're getting off track a little bit here. And then we have the Magician, which I feel like is ultimately connected with what it is that you're in the process of doing right now. And then we have the Ace of Cups next to it. I see this as being inspiring, simultaneously difficult. And you can also be looking at things and feeling like ideally maybe things would have been a bit different than they are currently. I'm seeing Five of Cups come out and appearing as it's looking at the Ten of Wands, which Ten of Wands is going to be that feeling like there's this overexertion of energy and feeling almost like having to tirelessly put that work in. And then having that Five of Cups there can be like all of the feelings that you have about this circumstance. Things that may feel hard to rectify, things that can feel hard to digest, things that can feel hard to accept. Things that you can feel just bring you into a place of conflict, looking at what's going on. Yeah, Star and Ace of Cups, I feel like, is this reminder and encouragement for you to not lose your faith and your hope in this situation and to keep trying and to stay present even though you can feel like somewhat discouraged by how difficult this can be, or how exhausting this can be, or how much energy this requires. And then I'm also seeing the sun come out too, which I do get the feeling of you possibly having a boost of energy, having the sun be connected with Queen of Wands. So this can be reconnecting with your life force, reconnecting with your energy, feeling like you're refueled in some way. Yeah, looking at the Ace of Cups, I almost feel like there was an expectation for this chapter to be a bit different. We have Aquarius, Mercury, Sun, and Taurus. I don't know why, but 10 of Wands in the Hierophant is almost feeling like a bunch of clerical work to me. Like maybe you feel like you're going through a point in your life where it feels like a lot of that type of stuff that's going on here. And you can feel too, like with the Hierophant, generally we can be in a position where it's like these are the requirements, and you can even feel like, I feel like you have a lot of work being in this position. And also going through a period where there's stuff that you're processing. Like the Hierophant makes it feel like, where else would you be except for here? At the same time, it feels very challenging to be like pulling this off currently. And then having 5 of Cups and having 8 of Swords, this can be something that you're feeling upset about, something that's getting to you, something that you're having a hard time reconciling, and that can be something that just throws you into your head in a way that may just make things more challenging. It feels too like trying to connect, and you can be as well trying to connect with this part of yourself that is the Queen of Wands, and feeling like there's all this stuff coming up that has to be worked through in order for you to do that. So this can be a somewhat like new chapter that is beginning, because we have the Ace of Cups there, where there's like connection that one is trying to establish, at the same time feeling like things are coming up that are not making it easy to do that. It's like something that just, you sort of have, you have the receptacle, you have the plug, but it's like something just keeps sort of getting in the way of everything like connecting fully here. And I feel like that can be something that feels frustrating even, and it can be something where you're like, maybe your perception was that this was going to be easier than it is. So how do you sort of stay hopeful about something that's not exactly as you expected it to be? And you can be feeling like this kind of pushes you into a space where you're trying to figure out what to do here and be as willing to cooperate with this situation, even though it can feel challenging to do so. And I also feel like there's some type of pressure that's being put on you to maintain some type of high ground here as you move through this. And that can be something that feels challenging too, because I feel almost like there's something going on where there may be like a lot of expectation or a lot of responsibility, a lot of weight that's being put on you. And I feel like it's something that you can't really slip out of too. And that can be something that makes things challenging as well, where it kind of feels like, oh, well, I know that I'm in the right spot, I know that I'm supposed to be here, at least that's really what I believe. And if that is the case, then this is just something that I sort of have to deal with, because it almost feels like the Hierophant kind of feels like something destined for you to be doing here, like somewhere where you really are supposed to be. And maybe that's something that can reinvigorate your belief and your sense of faith right now at this time when it can feel like it's impacted by your emotions, maybe in a way that sort of withdraws from that. I almost get this feeling of things being difficult to the point where you can feel like you're getting smaller and smaller, but then having Queen of Wands and having the Sun there, I almost feel like a force that's going to be doing the opposite of that. Like maybe something that's really going to help you reconnect energetically here and repurpose this energy in a way where you can move through this. That Ace of Cups too feels like really an ideal of what we would want. Who doesn't want to connect with the Ace of Cups? The Ace of Cups is going to be something that sort of plugs you into the rest of the universe. It's a good feeling to connect with the Ace of Cups because at the bottom of it, we feel most connected with ourselves and everything around us. And then having Five of Cups to look at that feels like in some way this isn't like totally tangible, maybe as you thought it would be. Like something that just feels more difficult. It's like you think that something is there in front of you and you can just grab it, and it's like as you're about to, you have to do like 5 more puzzles before you can really get to it. I feel like it's something like that, and you can be like, these are so difficult to be doing right now. I feel like this really set me up to have to go through all of this stuff, and even though Ace of Cups is going to be worth it, at the same time you can feel like this wasn't maybe what you expected when you were initially reaching out. And even though with Queen of Wands and the Sun, it's something that's supposed to help you energetically moving through this, you can feel a little bit shut down because of it not being exactly how you thought it was going to be, and that can sort of do something mismatching a bit to your energy. I feel like it is sort of knots something a bit. I feel too like this is highlighting some stuff that you may not have seen otherwise. And maybe there's something as well that's meant to be straightened out. Like something about you, something about your journey, something about even the way that you're perceiving things. I'm clarifying the Five of Wands. I get the Five of Wands to clarify. I feel like some complicated thing that has to be figured out here. But maybe it's something that something winding that you have to move through, but it gives you important information when you come out. Well, I guess like going through the process and also when you come out on the other side, because I feel like there's some type of, there's stuff that's being held on to currently that I feel like isn't totally in alignment with your highest potential, and this can be a time where even though it feels how it feels for these things to be brought up, at the same time I feel like it's helping you actually to resolve this, but it can feel lots of different ways to have to go through this process. It can feel confusing, it can feel aggravating, you can feel like there's tension, it can just feel in general like it's not easy. And I feel like all of these things are helping to actually clarify your energy. Like this Five of Wands feels like it's actually been deeply within you, and this is just bringing that out. Like there's been some conflict, there's been something going on deeply within you. This situation is just bringing that out for you. It's not creating it, and that can be where there's something being misconstrued. If you feel like the situation is creating the conflict, that's not really the case. This feels like it was more maybe like inactive within you, and this is just bringing it out. It's just shedding light on something, but it's not creating it. It was already there. Just think this situation allows you to access it, which can feel annoying if it's something that we don't want to be accessing or something that challenges us. But I feel like that's actually what's happening here. And this is like in your best interest to move through this process. At the same time, it can feel like, who wants to sign themselves up for something difficult for the most part, you know, or something that you feel like pushes you to the edge, or you have to face a lot of disappointment and whatnot. It's like not something that we find to be particularly pleasant. It can actually be painful in different ways, even if it's on a smaller scale going through a process like this. I feel like too, you would feel like you're not at your norm going through this. Like Queen of Wands and the Sun is feeling like what your natural state is, but then seeing Four of Cups can show you like not really feeling at your regular energy, which can mean like maybe you're not feeling as happy, maybe you're not feeling as energized, maybe you're not feeling as motivated, maybe you're feeling like you don't have as strong a sense of direction, maybe this is impacting your creativity. It can be these types of things. This stuff that's connected with the Sun, it can have you like not wanting to perform as well. Like if you see the Sun as being connected with your like performance that you do throughout life, this can be something that feels like it's kind of bringing you down. Maybe you don't really want to get on stage right now. Like maybe you're feeling less like you want to be doing that. And you can also feel like you're in the process of figuring out if this is somewhere that you want to be or not, because we are ending with the Eight of Cups, which I have been seeing in a lot of the readings lately. Like I get the feeling just collectively that there's something going on, like seeing the Eight of Cups be coming out so much recently, like within the last week or so, people can feel like they're beginning to get to a point where there are some big questions that are being asked and even bigger answers that are being found that are connected with what are we ready to retire, what are we ready to move forward with, what do we want to keep around, what do we feel like we're still connected with, versus what are we like settling for and it doesn't feel appropriate for our journeys now. What are we ready to transition out of? And I feel like collectively there's something here that's being worked out. Magician is going to be about really what you want to be creating within your life. Having Five of Wands can be a time where you're addressing the things that don't allow you to do that. And Eight of Cups feels like anything that's blocking you, anything that's getting in your way, any situation that you're in that's not really allowing you to create the life that you want. This can be a time where this stuff is being deeply assessed. And it can be a time where it's hard to look at this and also recognize the responsibility that you have within this. And you can also feel kind of like not super energized to do this as well. Queen of Wands, the Sun, Four of Cups. You can feel like not very inspired to be doing this. It can be something that you find to be draining. It can be stressful, it can be disappointing, it can be certain things that weren't what you thought they would be, certain things that maybe you connected with it and thought it would like last a certain amount of time and it's not, and it's maybe shorter than what you thought, or it's maybe different in some way than what you thought, and how to keep moving forward and make the steps that you want to be taking here, and to also like keep the faith as you move through this process as well, and know that like you really can connect with the Ace of Cups. If something is getting in the way of it, it must be addressed, because you can't just have it when the equation isn't right. So it feels like a time in general where these things are what's being looked at, what's being assessed, the things that we may be doing that we may not want to do, the things that we're forcing ourselves to do, that it's not in our heart to be doing these things, and to take a closer look and to understand that there may be some things that we have that we're keeping around or staying involved in, or that we're telling ourselves we're obligated to be doing, that are not our truth anymore. And whether we're going to honor that or not. And that is our responsibility as the Hierophant. I feel like too, something that's coming up can be the difference between shadow Hierophant and light Hierophant, which this energy is connected with Taurus. Taurus is connected with the second house, about the things that we keep, the things that we collect, the things that we have around us, the things that we like, our taste in general, and the stuff that we find to be valuable. This can be the difference between shadow Hierophant energy, which will be like, well, in my head, like I committed to doing this, or I told myself that this was valuable and I was very convinced of that and I have it, and now I'm seeing that there's a disconnect, but I told myself that I would hold on to this, so I'm going to do that anyway. Shadow Hierophant, which is like, you've realized something new throughout that. You did the thing that felt aligned before, thinking that something held a certain weight for you. Then you collect that thing in some way, or connect with that, or participate in that, or play that role within that. And then there's that moment where you realize that it may be time for you to move on to the next thing. Shadow Hierophant can be like, well, I don't want to because I already spent this time, or I told myself it was going to last for this long, or like, even though I collected it and it may not hold that much meaning to me, why would I get rid of it? You know, it can be this where it's just this like holding on and gathering, versus the Hierophant that's in more of its elevated energy. And this is one that's going to see the personal power within this and recognize that something is conflicting here and this is meant to be worked out. And I feel like if there's this resistance to accepting a situation or situations as they are, there can be the continuous collection of things unnecessarily, and then we just feel like we're surrounded by stuff that doesn't really hold that deeper meaning. And then of course we're going to feel like the color gets sucked out of our lives. Of course we're not going to feel creative, we're not going to feel energized, we're not going to feel excited about things. Like, stuff starts to not really matter. So it's going to be that difference between, am I going to hold on to these things just to hold on to it, just because maybe that was the original plan, versus checking in and seeing where something, again, like may not be aligned with your truth, with how you're really feeling, and then make the appropriate move to act on that. Hierophant, are these the only two zodiacs that we have here? Yeah, we have both Aquarius and we have Taurus. These are two fixed signs. This means that there's a like wanting to hold on and wanting to do things the same as we've been doing. So with the Hierophant, it can be like, well, this is my like habitual thing, and so even though it's lost meaning for me, I'm still going to do it anyway, versus recognizing what's going on, taking a closer look and seeing what would be the appropriate move to be made, versus just resisting doing that. And this is what's coming up. It can be where there's this tendency to do it just again and again and again because that's what we've been doing, but it loses meaning. I'm gonna like keep going here, or keep doing this with this person, even though to me it doesn't really mean anything anymore. It's lost its meaning. It's not what it was. I don't feel a sense of purpose or connection with this. I feel dissatisfied with this. I'm craving something more. I'm looking for something more. I'm wanting something deeper. I'm wanting something more real to me. Yet I'm going to keep doing this. And so this is bringing up that, which can feel like a difficult thing to be facing. Meanwhile, it feels like all of this stuff is beginning to come to light. And I do feel like in general, this is a collective thing that many of us are going through right now, where there is an adjustment that's being made. And you get the opportunity now to honor what your truth is, or to ignore it and to stay in what may feel comfortable and familiar to you, even though that may not be really your truth any longer. And so it's going to keep you from the life that you want to be experiencing. And it makes it about familiarity and staying comfortable rather than something you feel passionate about. And what initially was about seizing and maintaining something that we found to be valuable, we end up going against that by not moving with the rhythm of the situation. There's actually resistance here. So what was the main goal? What the main goal was in the first place, this now becomes something that keeps you from that. And so that's why there can be this feeling like, if this is on a more severe scale, it can be like, I feel like my life doesn't have purpose anymore. And this is where it comes from. Or like, this area of my life, I feel like it doesn't have purpose, or I feel disconnected, or I'm like, why am I doing this? Or I'm like forcing myself to do these things. I don't want to, but I keep doing it. Like, I'm not willing to, because this is going to affect your energy too, you know? You keep forcing yourself to do something, and your energy is like, I don't want to be using my energy for that. And so it's going to start like withering away, because it's not being fed, it's not being nurtured. It needs deeper connection. That's the thing that's going to fuel it, and you keep blocking that. I feel too like this craving will just grow and grow and grow until moves are being made, but it doesn't have to get that extreme. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.